Hello, my dear friends. Tonight, we're going to drift softly, ever so gently, into a time long past. A time of timber-framed buildings and uneven cobbled lanes, the sharp scent of herbs and the rustle of heavy woolen cloaks. Tonight, we'll wander slowly through the winding corridors of a medieval marketplace and imagine, with quiet detail, what it was like to shop in a world lit by candlelight and governed by barter, tradition, and the subtle, ceaseless hum of daily human survival. But before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from, and what time is it right now? I'd love to know where this little shared moment finds you tonight. Now, get comfortable. Let your shoulders soften, your breathing slow, make sure your blanket is pulled up just right. Maybe you're already lying down, maybe you have a soft light nearby, or the night outside is calm and still. Wherever you are, you're safe, and it's time to rest. Time to let your thoughts walk softly down quieter paths. Close your eyes if you like, or not just yet. Let's begin. Part 1. The first light of market day. You wake to the low rumble of cartwheels over stone. It's early, so early that the stars are only just beginning to fade into the washed-out indigo of pre-dawn. The air in your small stone house is chill, heavy with the night's dampness. Somewhere outside you hear the slow creak of a gate opening, the cluck of hens stirred from sleep, the cough of a man lifting sacks of flour onto a donkey's back. It is market day. You rise with practiced care, wrapping a woolen shawl around your shoulders, moving past the sleeping forms of your younger siblings. The hearth is a dull orange glow now, and the coals hiss slightly as you stir them. A bit of leftover oatcake, a piece of dried apple. Breakfast is meagre but filling enough. You tuck a few coins into a pouch at your waist, the fabric worn soft with years of use. These are hard-won pennies, earned through long days of spinning flax and weaving cloth, saved carefully for just this sort of journey. You step out into the street, and the cold morning air presses against your cheeks, your breath coming in little clouds. The village around you is still half asleep, but the road toward the town is already stirring with life. You pass a pair of farmers leading pigs with rope leashes, the animals snorting and squealing softly. A woman walks ahead of you, balancing a basket of cheese on her head with practiced grace. The occasional rider trots past, raising little bursts of dust from the dry road. The town, your destination, lies just beyond the bend, behind a low stone wall and a gatehouse flanked by towers. Already you can hear the faint sounds, the braying of animals, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer, and voices, so many voices, rising and falling like waves. This is the market, the weekly heart of commerce, of chatter, of sustenance and survival. As you approach the gates, the guards barely glance at you. Just another villager with goods to trade or coins to spend. You slip through with the others, your feet carrying you into the living, breathing, chaotic soul of the medieval town. And just like that, you are there. The market square stretches before you, alive with colour and motion. Stalls made from canvas and wood line the square, their canopies fluttering gently in the breeze. Some are permanent, rough timber structures with shutters that open outward, revealing shelves stacked with goods. Others are temporary, quickly erected at dawn and packed away before dusk. The scents are overwhelming at first. Fresh-baked bread still steaming, pungent herbs crushed beneath boots, the sharp tang of leather, the musky scent of animals, and somewhere a faint hint of roasting meat. Voices rise in a dozen languages: English, French, Middle Dutch, even Arabic if the spice traders have come this week. You hear the calls of sellers hawking their wares, fresh fish from the coast, gutted this very morning, wool cloaks, made by my own wife's hand, she's the best in the Shire, fine spices, cinnamon, saffron, come and see, come and smell, and you, in the middle of it all, are small but sure. You know how to walk with purpose, not to stop too long at any one stall, not to meet a merchant's eyes unless you're ready to buy. You keep a hand on your pouch, always, because though the market is the town's lifeblood, it is also home to clever fingers and quicker feet. A child brushes past you, deliberately or just in play. You pull your pouch close, tucking it deeper under your shawl. Your first stop is always the same. An old woman who sells herbs and remedies sits behind a table covered with jars and bunches of dried leaves. She recognizes you and smiles, her face 1,000 creases deep. "Mint again?" she asks, and you nod, for your mother's stomach. You trade her a bit of linen for a bundle wrapped in paper. She tells you the news from the southern road. Travellers from London brought with them strange cloth dyed with indigo, and a story about a ship lost near Calais. You listen, half interested, more focused on the patterns of the crowd. Across the way, you see a group of men gathered around a scalesman. He's weighing sacks of grain, each carefully measured, each coin counted out in front of the watching guild clerk. No cheating here, not today. The guild banners flutter gently from wooden poles beside some stalls, the sign of the butchers, the tailors, the cobblers. Each is allowed to sell only within their bounds, under strict rules set by the town's council. Prices are posted in chalk or carved onto wooden plaques. 3 pence for a loaf of rye, 12 for a measure of wine. It's not cheap, not really, but it's fair. Mostly. And then there are the stalls without banners. Foreigners, unregistered traders, risk-takers. They sell strange goods, silk from the east, beads from Venice, knives with patterns in the metal like ripples on a pond. Their accents are thick, their smiles wide, their prices negotiable. You linger near one of them. A man with a beard down to his chest holds up a little vial of saffron, the threads glowing orange in the sun. He names a price, far too high. You counter, he scoffs. You smile. It's a dance, and you know the steps. Eventually he relents. You walk away with less than you wanted, but more than you'd hoped. That's how it goes here. And all around you, life continues. A juggler tosses pins into the air near the well. A monk begs for alms by the church steps. A dog barks endlessly at a pair of geese tied to a post. The town bell tolls once, twice. It is still morning. Still early. There is so much more to see. But that is for the next chapter. Tonight, let the echoes of footsteps fade softly into silence. The smells, the voices, the hum of a living town. They can wait. You're warm, safe, drowsy. You can almost hear the rustle of cloth, the muffled sound of coins changing hands, the whisper of stories passed from mouth to ear. Let yourself drift. Let your breathing slow. The market will be here when you wake. We'll return soon. You move deeper into the heart of the square, where the morning sun finally begins to touch the upper edges of the timbered buildings, their beams dark with age and their plastered walls washed in pale shades of lime and earth, the kind that turn golden for a moment under the first clear light. Here the marketplace swells with its true shape, with the press of bodies shifting between stalls, the shuffle of boots over packed soil and worn stones, the gentle murmur of 100 separate transactions unfolding at once, layered over each other like woven cloth. You pass under the striped awning of a spice merchant where the air is suddenly transformed, thicker, deeper, spiced with foreign warmth, and your senses catch on the tang of ginger, the sweetness of clove, the smokiness of cardamom, all measured out in tiny piles and scooped with horn-handled spoons into pouches that weigh far more in value than in mass. These wares are not for everyone, not for every day. One small measure of nutmeg might be worth a whole week's pay, but it's bought anyway sometimes for births or betrothals or the long holy days when the house must feel full and blessed with the scent of things from beyond the known horizon. The man selling them speaks little English, only enough to name his goods and his price, but his ledger is meticulously neat, the ink still wet in places where he's marked down debts and credits, beside names written in long looping script. His robes, dark and voluminous, are embroidered with red thread around the cuffs, a kind of pattern you can't place but which you find yourself studying even as he speaks to the man beside you. Across the square the cloth merchants have set out their wares in wide overlapping sheets, each one pinned with iron weights against the wind. You stop beside one that shimmers slightly in the sunlight, a bolt of fine wool dyed a soft green-grey, the colour of moss on stone, tightly woven and warm to the touch. The merchant, a woman with a strong jaw and narrow eyes, watches you but does not speak. Not yet. You know better than to touch the cloth without asking, so you wait, nodding once, and then she lifts the edge for you to inspect. It is good work, probably northern, woven in York or Durham. You say so quietly and she nods with a hint of approval, and now she's more open, offering you another bolt, darker, almost blue. You ask the price, and she gives you one with a slight incline of her head. A fair price, but you know she has left room for argument. You tell her what you have to offer, some coin, yes, but also your own spun flax already washed and dried smooth under the fingers. She considers, then motions for you to show it, and when you unroll it from the cloth sack on your back, her fingers run across it with careful pressure. She nods once, then again. A deal is struck without a single wasted word, and she begins to cut the cloth with long iron shears, while you carefully fold your remaining flax back into its place. To your right, a boy no older than 10 is darting between legs and carts, his movements too practiced, too precise. You catch his eyes for just a moment and they flick away, but not before you see the glint of something metallic tucked in his sleeve. A fruit knife, maybe, or not. You watch him weave between a group of travellers standing around a cart of glazed pottery, then vanish behind a barrel. There are always boys like him here, clever, fast, often hungry, and the guards rarely interfere unless a hand is caught in the act. Still, you press your pouch closer under your sash and make a mental note of the boy's face. Not in anger, it's the way of things. Even children must find their way to eat. Beyond the cloth stalls, the air turns sweeter. Here the food sellers have made their kingdom. A woman tends to a clay oven glowing orange with embers, pulling flatbreads from its mouth and brushing them with oil and herbs. Beside her a man turns a spit heavy with pork, the fat hissing as it falls into the fire below, sending up curls of smoke that linger in the air and coat your tongue. You do not eat yet. It's too early, and the food stalls are busy. But your stomach tightens with the thought. There's a baker with honey cakes laid out on boards, each one golden brown and crisscrossed with thin strips of dried fruit. You know that later in the day, when the light begins to dip, the price will fall, but for now they are fresh and full and costly. There's a shouting match now near the fishmonger's cart, where a man in a thick leather apron is arguing loudly with a woman whose hands are red with the cold of morning water. She claims he's sold her spoiled eel. He swears the catch was fresh from the river. A small crowd gathers, half curious and half entertained, and somewhere behind you, a bell rings once, someone calling the attention of a guild officer to settle the matter. This is common too. The rules of trade are strict, and the punishments for dishonesty can be harsh, but in the moment, emotions run high and tempers break like old wood. You move on, past barrels filled with dried beans and grains, their surfaces smoothed with use. A young man is carefully measuring lentils with a wooden scoop, every motion watched by a woman who could be his mother or his creditor. Her eyes are hard and her mouth does not move, but she counts each grain in her mind, her silence louder than any accusation. You pause at a stall filled with carved trinkets, small wooden saints and animals, a comb shaped like a bird, a spoon with the initials of someone unknown burnt into the handle. The man behind the table is missing several fingers, and he works slowly with what remains, using a thin-bladed knife to add details to a figure of St. Bridget. You wonder how long he's been doing this, how many hours of quiet carving go into each piece. He says nothing as you browse, just watches. You take nothing, though you consider a small cross with a loop for stringing. Not today, you think. A sudden gust of wind lifts the edge of a tent canopy, and blows the smell of cured meat your way. You follow it without thinking, and soon you're standing near the salt cellars, where slabs of pork and beef lie stacked in crates, wrapped in cloth and dusted thick with salt from the coast. You recognise the merchant. He travels from town to town, his horse-drawn cart marked with the symbol of his guild, a wheel over a flame. You nod politely and he greets you by name, surprised to see you here this early. You ask the price of a small cut of bacon, and he gives it, and you exchange a bit of coin, enough for a few days' worth. The meat is wrapped in waxed linen and handed to you with a grunt of approval. You thank him and step back, letting another buyer take your place. The sun is higher now, the crowd has doubled, a pair of musicians pass by, one playing a rebec, the other a pipe, their tune light and fast, just enough to keep your steps moving. Somewhere in the distance a crier is reading a proclamation from the town hall steps, but you can't make out the words. There's still more to see, and you are not yet finished. You pass under a banner stretched between two wooden posts, dyed a deep ochre and bearing the mark of the Weavers' Guild, a stylized loom etched in black. It ripples slightly in the breeze as if watching you. Beyond it lies a quieter corner of the marketplace, not free of noise, but somehow more orderly. Here the guild-regulated stalls cluster tightly, every one of them under careful supervision. A man in a heavy wool cloak sits near the entrance on a folding stool, a wooden tallyboard resting across his knees, a quill poised between gloved fingers. He doesn't speak to you, but his eyes note your arrival. Everything sold within this row must be approved, accounted for, taxed. Quality is expected, origins traceable. There are no strangers here. The weaver's section is neat, almost unnaturally so. Every bolt of cloth lies folded with clean edges, samples hung precisely with bone buttons clipped to their corners. A pair of older women examine a length of russet-coloured wool, running their fingers along the hem and whispering about the tightness of the weave. You linger nearby, not to buy, but to admire. The guild's pride is in its consistency. Even from a distance you can see the uniformity in the threads, the way the light catches evenly across the surface. It's beautiful in its own restrained way. A low voice greets you, and you turn to find a man arranging lengths of dyed linen, his hands calloused and pink from hours spent in vats of woad and madder. He recognises you. Or perhaps he only thinks he does. It doesn't matter. You nod in return, and he begins to speak of the changing trends in colour. This season, he says, the wealthy want deep greens and purples, hard to achieve and harder still to maintain. The poor still favour greys and browns, cheaper to produce and easier to clean, but even those require care. You ask him about a new dye you've heard of, one brought by a Flemish trader said to turn cloth the blue of storm clouds. He snorts and shakes his head. Unstable, he says, runs in the rain. You both smile a little at that and part without further talk. Further along, under the same banner, the shoemaker's section begins. Leather goods hang from hooks and are stacked in neat piles. Boots, slippers, sandals, and pointed shoes with curled toes for those who favour courtly styles. A boy, no older than 13, stands beside his master's stall, quietly polishing a row of wooden lasts. His hands are stained with oil, and his knuckles are scabbed over from a recent slip with a cutting knife. Apprentices like him work long hours and sleep in the workshops, fed by their masters and punished by them too if it comes to it. You wonder if he minds. His eyes are steady as he works, not resentful. Maybe he's proud. You stop at the last of the guild-run stalls where the metalworkers are set up. Iron tools and copper pans gleam in the sun, lined up with military precision. A woman in a faded green kirtle haggles with a smith over the price of a new cooking pot, and you catch pieces of their argument. Weight, thickness, the way the handle bends too close to the rim. The smith defends his craft without heat. He's heard it all before. You listen, not so much for the pot itself, but for the language of it. The knowledge that even mundane objects hold such personal value here. Every purchase is a choice, a judgment, a balancing of cost and need and trust. Outside the guild's careful bounds, the market resumes its chaotic sprawl. The change is subtle but immediate. The lines grow less straight, the spacing between stalls more irregular, the goods more varied, the sellers more impatient. Here, foreign accents are more common. You hear the rasp of Italian beside the roll of Breton French, the clipped vowels of German merchants passing among themselves. It smells different too, sharper, more musky. You see trinkets laid out on velvet, tiny boxes of enamel and mother of pearl, mirrors no larger than your palm, beads in colours you've never seen before. One man sells dried fruit in twist-handled baskets. Another offers smoked fish, their skins blackened and glossy, strung together on a wooden frame like necklaces. A woman in a dark blue veil sits behind a small table of painted icons, her eyes watchful beneath heavy brows. You pause to study one of them, a saint holding a sheaf of wheat, outlined in gold leaf. She tells you it came from Byzantium. You doubt it, but the workmanship is delicate, and the colours so vivid they seem still wet. You nod politely and walk on. A young couple nearby argues quietly over a belt. The man wants it. The woman says the buckle is too soft. They speak quickly, slipping between English and another tongue. Flemish, maybe. You can't quite follow. They laugh suddenly and decide to buy it anyway, folding it into their satchel like a secret. At the edge of the square you find a small gathering of potters. Their wares are humble. Unglazed clay cups, thick-walled bowls, jars with uneven mouths, but each bears the fingerprint of its maker, rough swirls at the base, thumb-pressed indentations along the rim. One stall has a row of jugs painted with simple animals, hares, dogs, birds with long necks. A child picks one up and the potter tenses, eyes narrowing, but the child's mother guides the small hand back to safety before anything falls. You crouch beside a pot with a jagged chip along its side and run a finger across the break. The glaze flakes slightly, revealing the dull ceramic underneath. The potter sees your interest and says quietly, "Half price, still holds water." You nod once, but you don't take it. You're not looking for pottery today. Somewhere near the centre of the square, a man begins to sing, a long, low melody that doesn't rise or fall much but holds steady like a chant. His voice is rough, but not unpleasant, and the words are in Latin, or close to it. A few people stop to listen, most don't. His hat lies open before him on the ground, weighted by a single coin. You find yourself moving back toward the food stalls, where the day has fully taken hold now. The heat from the cooking fires rises in waves, the smell's richer, heavier, the lines are longer too. A woman ladles hot stew into thick bread trenches and passes them off to waiting hands, her sleeves rolled to the elbow, arms scarred from the fire's edge. A boy eats roasted onions from a skewer, juice dripping down his chin. A man tries to sell you spiced wine from a tall, narrow cask, but you shake your head and keep walking. You pass a table where two monks sit eating soft cheese and bread with a pot of honey between them. They speak quietly, their robes marked with travel dust, their sandals worn smooth. One of them smiles at you. You nod, then look away. The market feels different now, fuller, noisier, denser, as if the entire town has poured itself into this one place, drawn by the promise of something new or necessary or simply shared. You feel the press of that, of presence, of repetition, of a kind of life that spins on its own axis week after week. There's more ahead. You haven't yet seen the tanners or the coin changers or the storytellers who sometimes come near noon, but for now, you keep walking. The clatter of wooden coins against a merchant's ledger draws your attention as you step toward a small booth where a coin changer sits, hunched over his work with a pair of scales and a stack of uneven money. The booth is simple, little more than a wooden frame covered with cloth, but the importance of the place is unmistakable. Here, merchants and buyers alike come to weigh and test coins from all over the known world. Silver pennies minted in the king's name, copper farthings from distant shires, even foreign coins from the Low Countries or the Mediterranean, worn smooth by travel and trade. You watch the coin changer as he lifts a silver penny, holding it up to the light. The face of the king is barely visible, worn away by time, but the coin still holds value. He places it carefully on the scales, then adds small weights to balance it. A slight tilt one way or another could mean fraud or loss, and the changer's eyes are sharp, scanning each piece with practiced ease. You can almost hear the silent language between them, trust and doubt, risk and assurance. The coin changer's work is essential. Without his careful weighing and knowledge, trade could falter in mistrust. You think of the bartering that happens further in the market, where coins are sometimes scarce or unwanted, and instead, goods and favours are exchanged. An egg for a handful of herbs, a length of cloth for a basket of apples. You imagine how difficult it must be to set fair value when each person's needs and desires are so different, and when prices shift with seasons, harvests, and politics. A woman approaches the booth, a small leather pouch in hand. She counts her coins carefully, then hands them to the changer. You notice one of the coins is slightly larger than the others, and the changer frowns, testing it against a known standard. After a moment he taps it with a small hammer, listening to the sound it makes before shaking his head and handing it back. "It is counterfeit," he says quietly, and the woman's face tightens with frustration. Such deception is common, especially in bustling marketplaces where so many strangers pass through. Nearby, a group of farmers argue over the price of wheat. One insists the price should be lower, pointing to a poor harvest last season. Another counters with tales of distant wars that have disrupted trade routes, pushing prices higher. Their voices rise and fall, weaving the complex dance of supply and demand that underpins this vibrant market. You move past a stall selling exotic goods, ivory combs carved with delicate patterns, jars of rare perfumes distilled from distant flowers, bolts of silk shimmering in the sunlight. These items carry stories of distant lands, brought here by traders who have crossed deserts and seas, risking storms and bandits. You think about the lives behind each object, the hands that made them, and the people who have treasured them before you. The scent of fresh bread draws you toward a nearby bakery stall where loaves are stacked in neat piles, their crusts golden and crackling. The baker, a stout man with flour-dusted hair, slices a warm loaf, revealing soft, fragrant crumb inside. You watch as customers eagerly pay their coins, some buying enough to feed a family, others purchasing just a small piece for a quick snack. As the sun climbs higher, the marketplace grows louder, the clinking of coins, the calls of vendors, the laughter of children weaving through the crowds. Yet beneath the noise there is a rhythm, a steady pulse that speaks of centuries of commerce and community, of countless deals struck and stories shared. You realise that this place is more than just a market. It is a living tapestry, woven from the threads of countless lives, each one contributing to the rich, complex pattern of daily medieval life. And as you stand here, surrounded by the sights, sounds and smells of trade, you feel a quiet connection to that history, a part of something far larger than yourself. As you continue through the bustling marketplace, the cacophony of voices blends into a gentle hum that seems to pulse with the very heartbeat of the town. Here, in the open air, you find that coins are not always the language spoken. Instead, many transactions unfold in the slow, deliberate dance of bartering, an exchange not only of goods, but of trust, negotiation, and unspoken understanding. You approach a stall where a middle-aged man stands behind a rough-hewn wooden table, piled with fresh vegetables, beets, onions, cabbages, and bundles of herbs tied neatly with twine. His hands are weathered and stained, a map of years spent working the earth. A woman stands before him, a basket hanging from her arm, and she speaks quietly but firmly, offering a dozen eggs in exchange for a sack of flour. The man strokes his chin, weighing the offer. You can almost see the calculation in his eyes, the value of the eggs, the quality of the flour, and what each might bring at home. He shakes his head once, then gestures to a different sack, smaller but heavier, and after a brief exchange the two reach a compromise. The woman smiles, her eyes warm with relief, and hands over the eggs, while the man tips the sack into her basket. No coins change hands, yet both leave satisfied, their needs met by the fluid give and take of this old, familiar ritual. You observe that bartering requires more than just goods. It demands patience and respect. The rhythm is slower than the quick exchange of coin, more personal. Sellers and buyers measure not just price but character. The merchant selling wool may favour a customer known to pay honestly over one who bargains endlessly. A butcher may offer better cuts to those who bring news from home or share a hearty laugh. The marketplace is alive with such small stories. A young boy trades a handful of dried herbs for a carved wooden toy, his smile bright enough to soften the gruff face of the carver. An elderly woman offers a basket of eggs in exchange for a jar of honey, both exchanging gentle words about the weather and the health of their families. These moments, simple yet profound, form the invisible threads that hold this world together. Nearby, you catch sight of a man with a ledger, his quill scratching lightly as he records debts and credits, with the practiced ease of one who understands the fragile balance of trust and commerce. His presence reminds you that barter and coin are both parts of the same delicate ecosystem, an economy born not only of goods, but of relationships, promises, and shared histories. The air carries the faint scent of wood smoke and fresh earth, mingling with the sharper notes of crushed herbs and salt-cured meat. You hear the soft clink of pottery being stacked, and the low murmur of voices bartering not only for goods, but for news and favours. A woman offers a warm loaf of bread to a weary traveller, in exchange for a tale of distant lands, and he gladly complies, his words painting pictures of ships and faraway shores. You find yourself drawn deeper into the subtle choreography of this marketplace, where every gesture, every word carries weight beyond the surface. Here, the past breathes gently, a slow and steady current beneath the noise, inviting you to pause, to listen, to become part of the unfolding story. And as you move on, you carry with you the quiet understanding that in this medieval marketplace, trade is not merely the exchange of goods, it is the weaving of a community, bound by the delicate threads of trust, need, and the shared rhythm of everyday life. You step carefully through the thickening crowd, feeling the pulse of the market quicken as the day advances. The sun, now climbing high above the half-timbered roofs, cast long, sharp shadows that twist and shift between the stalls and the narrow alleys beyond. In this weaving of light and dark, the marketplace reveals not only its bustling trade, but also its hidden risks. Your awareness sharpens as you notice a subtle change in the air, a slight brush against your sleeve, a quick movement just beyond your peripheral vision. Pickpockets, the unseen players of the square, are always at work. Their craft is practiced, almost invisible to the distracted eye, and their presence is as old as the market itself. You watch a young man with a sly smile slip effortlessly through the crowd. His hands move with a fluid grace, brushing against coin purses and bundles without causing alarm. A merchant near the spice stall suddenly reaches for his pouch and frowns, realizing too late that a few coins have vanished. The thief is already blending into the throng, his footsteps light on the worn stones. The market guards patrol nearby, their armour clinking softly with each measured step, their eyes scanning the crowd for trouble. But they are few, and the marketplace is vast. Often, it is the keen-eyed vendors and experienced shoppers who act as the first line of defence, calling out warnings or quickly pointing out suspicious behaviour. Their voices ripple through the square like waves, creating pockets of alertness amid the usual hum. You feel the subtle tension in the air, the delicate balance between trust and caution that threads through every exchange. Even the most mundane transactions carry an undercurrent of vigilance. Sellers tie coin purses to belts or tuck them deep into folds of cloth. Buyers clutch their bags close, their fingers resting protectively on leather straps. Children weave through the crowd with quick glances over their shoulders, learning early the art of awareness. Yet despite these dangers, the marketplace pulses with life, and the dance continues. The pickpocket's shadowed presence is part of the texture here, a reminder of the risks that come with so much wealth gathered in one place. It is a game of cat and mouse, played daily beneath the soaring banners and brightly coloured awnings. You watch as a guard approaches a young woman who has raised an alarm. Her face is flushed but resolute, her hand gripping a small stolen pouch recovered from a corner. The guard's voice is low but firm, and the crowd parts respectfully to let justice take its course. Such moments are rare but necessary, reinforcing the fragile trust that allows commerce to flourish. As you move away from the scene, your senses remain alert but calm. The market is a place of endless stories, some spoken openly, others whispered in the spaces between. You realise that every smile, every bargain, every cautious glance carries a piece of the greater narrative, woven from light and shadow alike, and so you step forward, the cool breeze tugging at your cloak, the distant bells ringing softly, and the market's ever-shifting dance continuing around you, alive with the timeless rhythm of human exchange. The scent of sizzling meat and fresh bread pulls you closer to the heart of the market, where food stalls cluster like small islands in a sea of traders and customers. Here, the air thickens with the warm, inviting aromas of roasting meats, spiced stews, and sweet pastries. It's a place alive with colour and sound, flames licking the air, pots bubbling over open fires, and vendors calling out their wares in cheerful tones. You come upon a stout woman stirring a large cauldron of pottage, its surface dotted with chunks of root vegetables and bits of salted pork. The wooden spoon she uses is worn smooth from years of use, moving slowly in wide circles as she hums a low tune, seemingly lost in thought. Around her, pots and pans clatter, and the flicker of firelight dances on the faces of eager customers waiting patiently. Nearby, a man expertly turns a spit, slowly roasting a whole pig whose skin crackles and browns over the glowing coals. He smiles as he notices you watching, offering a small piece skewered on a wooden stick. The taste is smoky and rich, a rare luxury for many in the town, and you savour the warmth that spreads through your mouth. You drift toward a stall stacked with freshly baked bread, thick, crusty loaves shaped by skilled hands. The baker, his face flushed from the heat of the oven, slices a loaf, revealing a soft, yeasty crumb within. Customers break off pieces and dip them into bowls of thick, aromatic cheese, their faces brightening with each bite. Fruits and nuts spill from woven baskets at another table, shiny apples, plump figs, and handfuls of almonds that crunch pleasantly between teeth. A small boy clutches a sticky honey cake, his fingers dusted with powdered sugar and his eyes wide with delight. The clamour of the marketplace softens here, replaced by the steady rhythm of communal sharing. You overhear conversations in many tongues, farmers praising the quality of the day's harvest, travellers exchanging stories of distant lands, and families planning meals for the coming week. The food stalls become a place where the town's diverse threads intertwine, nourished not only by sustenance, but by shared experience. A woman selling spiced wine offers a cup to a weary traveller, the liquid warm and tinged with cinnamon and cloves. He drinks deeply, the heat chasing away the chill of a long journey, and smiles in quiet gratitude. Around you, others partake in simple pleasures: fresh cheese, roasted onions, sweetened wine. Each taste a small comfort in a world often marked by hardship. You notice how these food stalls reflect the market's wider rhythms, the balance between abundance and scarcity, the mingling of tradition and innovation, the constant negotiation between need and desire. Here, amid the smoke and spice, the market breathes in a softer, more intimate cadence, a pulse that reminds you of home and hearth. As you step away from the warmth and bustle, the sounds of laughter and the faint clinking of mugs follow you, weaving into the marketplace's ever-present tapestry of life. The day continues, unfolding slowly beneath the watchful sun, and you move forward, ready to explore what lies beyond the savoury scents and flickering flames. As you leave the comforting warmth of the food stalls behind, you notice the marketplace shifting once again. The steady hum of familiar voices blends with the unfamiliar, carried on the breeze like whispers from distant lands. Here, near the edges of the square, merchants from far-flung places have set up their stalls, bringing with them a world beyond the town's stone walls. The colours are brighter here, silks dyed a deep crimson, embroidered with gold threads that catch the light and shimmer with every movement. You see bolts of fabric from the east, their patterns intricate and foreign, and small chests filled with spices, fragrant cardamom, fiery peppercorns, and bitter-sweet saffron, precious treasures that travel thousands of miles to arrive in this dusty market. You approach a trader draped in rich robes, his skin weathered from sun and wind, his eyes sharp and watchful. His stall is a trove of curiosities: delicate glass beads from Venice, strange perfumes distilled from Arabian flowers, and finely crafted daggers with handles carved from ivory. The language he speaks is lilting and strange, a melody you cannot quite place. He gestures toward his wares with pride, inviting you to touch, to smell, to marvel. Nearby, sacks of dried fruit, dates, figs, and apricots spill their sweet scent into the air. A small group of townsfolk gathers, intrigued by the exotic goods and the stories that seem to hang as thickly as the spices themselves. Whispers tell of caravans crossing deserts, ships battling stormy seas, and traders braving bandits and storms to bring these treasures here. You sense the market's role as a crossroads of the world, where local needs meet distant desires, and where each object carries the weight of countless journeys. The presence of these foreign goods stirs something deep within you, a connection to the vast, unpredictable world beyond the horizon, reminding you that even in this small medieval town, the wider world is never far away. You watch as a silk scarf changes hands, its smooth fabric slipping through fingers like water, the price discussed quietly, with the careful diplomacy of experienced negotiators. A small boy points to a string of glass beads, eyes wide with wonder, and the trader smiles, reaching down to let him hold a single bright bead, catching the sunlight like a star. The marketplace breathes this mingling of the near and the far, the familiar and the strange. Here, beneath the flapping banners and creaking carts, the stories of distant lands mingle with your own, woven together in the delicate fabric of trade and human connection. You step away from the stall, the scent of spices lingering on your skin, and feel the steady, quiet rhythm of the market drawing you onward, toward new discoveries, new faces, and the endless unfolding story of this medieval world. Moving away from the exotic stalls, you find yourself drawn toward a quieter corner of the market, where the tone shifts from lively chatter to measured conversation and solemn nods. Here, the guilds hold their domain, powerful associations of craftsmen and merchants who oversee the quality, fairness, and order within their trades. Their banners hang proudly above small booths or beside sturdy workshops, bearing symbols of hammers, anvils, scales, or spindles. You watch as a blacksmith, his arms thick with muscle and stained with soot, speaks earnestly with a fellow guild member. Their voices carry the weight of responsibility, not only to their craft but to the community that depends on it. The guilds govern the rules of trade with a strict hand. Quality standards must be met, prices regulated to prevent undercutting, and apprentices trained under watchful eyes to preserve skill and reputation. You notice that every stall seems to bear the mark of its guild's approval, a stamped seal, a woven badge, or a carved insignia, signs that reassure buyers of the integrity behind each product. This system brings order to the chaos of the marketplace, but it also demands loyalty, strict adherence to regulations, and sometimes fierce competition between guilds vying for influence. A weaver explains to you in quiet tones how guild members gather regularly to discuss pricing, materials, and disputes. Breaking guild rules could mean heavy fines or exclusion, a devastating blow for a craftsman whose livelihood depends on trust and reputation. Yet the guilds also provide protection, from unfair taxes to the dangers of fraud or poor workmanship. You watch as a group of apprentices, young and eager, polish tools and clean workbenches under the watchful gaze of a master craftsman. Their hands move awkwardly at first, but with each repetition, their skill deepens, a quiet promise that these traditions will endure. The guilds form an unseen web beneath the market's surface, shaping the flow of goods and knowledge, maintaining a delicate balance between order and freedom. Their presence is a reminder that behind every finely crafted item or carefully weighed coin lies a world of rules, discipline, and community, elements as essential to the marketplace as the goods themselves. As you step back into the open square, the hum of the market resumes, vibrant and unceasing. The guild's quiet authority lingers like a steady pulse beneath the noise, a framework upon which the bustling life of trade is built, allowing the market to thrive day after day, season after season. As the morning wanes, you begin to notice the subtle shifts in the marketplace's rhythm, like the changing tides of a vast and restless sea. The sun climbs higher, casting sharper shadows beneath the brightly coloured tents, and the bustle of early buyers gives way to a slower, more deliberate pace. Vendors rearrange their goods, tidying piles of cloth or replenishing baskets of fruit, their movements steady and practiced. The scent of roasting meats mingles with the fresh earthiness of root vegetables and the sweet tang of dried fruits, creating a tapestry of aromas that wrap around you like a soft cloak. The crowd thins slightly, and conversations become quieter, more personal. You hear snippets of plans for the coming feast days, whispered hopes for a good harvest, and stories shared between neighbours that carry the weight of everyday life. A merchant wipes sweat from his brow, leaning on his stall as he watches the steady stream of customers with tired but contented eyes. Nearby, a mother balances a basket of eggs, while her children dart among the stalls, their laughter light and carefree. You feel the market's pulse slow, not from weariness, but as if drawing breath, pausing to gather strength before the afternoon's renewed energy. The steady clink of coins continues, softer now, accompanied by the gentle rustle of fabric and the occasional ring of a blacksmith's hammer. This ebb and flow, the dance of buying and selling, talking and listening, is as much a part of the market as the goods themselves. It is a rhythm shaped by the sun, the seasons, and the lives of countless people who have walked these stones before you. You move through the marketplace, attuned to this quiet cadence, sensing how the day unfolds not in bursts of chaos, but in a steady, unhurried flow. The market is alive, breathing in harmony with the world around it, a living mosaic of sound, scent, and motion that carries the weight of history in every breath. As the afternoon sun shifts toward the west, casting a golden glow over the bustling square, you begin to notice the steady presence of women throughout the market, figures both familiar and essential to the daily rhythm of trade. Their roles here are varied and vital, woven seamlessly into the fabric of medieval commerce. Near a stall piled high with fresh vegetables, a woman carefully arranges bundles of herbs, sage, thyme, and rosemary, her fingers nimble and practiced. She offers small sprigs to passers-by, explaining their uses with quiet confidence. These herbalists not only supply flavour and fragrance, but also medicine. Their knowledge passed down through generations. Their wares carry the subtle promise of health and comfort, mingling with the scents of the market. Elsewhere, you see women managing stalls selling cloth and garments, They measure lengths of wool and linen with expert eyes, helping customers choose the right material for a new tunic or a winter cloak. Some of these women are daughters or wives of guild members, their hands skilled from years of spinning, weaving or sewing. Others are independent traders, bringing goods from nearby villages or distant towns. A group of women gather near a small well, exchanging news and gossip as much as goods. Baskets of eggs, fresh cheese, homemade preserves. Their voices carry warmth and familiarity, a counterpoint to the clatter of coin and hammer elsewhere. You sense that the marketplace is as much a social space as an economic one, a place where relationships are built and maintained. You notice too that many women carry out the crucial task of managing household supplies. They negotiate prices for grains and spices, barter for cloth and tools, and ensure their families have enough to eat and wear. Their keen eyes and firm voices mark them as experienced negotiators, well aware of the ebb and flow of market prices. Though often overlooked in written records, the presence of women here is undeniable. They are vendors, customers, caretakers, and community builders. Their hands shape the market as surely as the blacksmith's hammer or the merchant's scales. As you walk past a stall where a woman sells warm loaves of bread, the smell draws you in briefly, reminding you that the marketplace is a place where life happens in its fullness, the meeting of need, skill, and human connection, embodied in every face and every gesture. The sun dips lower now, and the shadows lengthen, but the women of the market continue their work, steady and sure, carrying the market's heartbeat into the fading light. As the afternoon deepens, the clinking of coins becomes a constant, gentle percussion beneath the market's chorus. You begin to notice the subtle ways in which money moves through this medieval marketplace, not just as metal, but as a symbol of trust, value, and social standing. Gold, silver, and copper coins jingle and flash, but the economy here is more intricate than simple exchange. You see merchants weighing coins carefully, inspecting their edges and markings to ensure authenticity. Counterfeit money is a constant threat, and sharp eyes guard against deception. The coin's image, a king's face, a city emblem, speaks not only of worth, but of authority and legitimacy, binding the marketplace to the wider kingdom. Yet, many transactions extend beyond immediate payment. Credit is a quiet but vital thread woven through the market's fabric. A baker might extend a loaf to a customer known to pay later. A blacksmith may allow a farmer to settle his bill after the harvest. These deferred exchanges require trust, built slowly over time and through repeated interactions. At a small table shaded beneath a canvas, a scribe records debts and credits in neat script. The ledger, a fragile record of human connection and obligation. Buyers and sellers negotiate terms with careful words, balancing their immediate needs against future promises. You notice how wealth moves unevenly here. Some merchants flaunt coin purses heavy with silver, their stalls overflowing with fine goods. Others, like the vegetable seller or the spinner of wool, work for modest sums, their profits measured in small, steady increments. This hierarchy of wealth shapes relationships and power, colouring the marketplace with subtle shades of privilege and restraint. The marketplace's economy is alive with these rhythms, metal and promise intertwined, allowing trade to flourish even when coin is scarce. It is a system built on human trust as much as on the clink of coin, fragile and enduring all at once. You move on, carrying the soft metallic sound of coins in your mind, feeling the pulse of exchange beat steadily beneath the surface of this medieval world. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting a soft amber glow over the cobblestones, the marketplace begins to shed its midday bustle. The once thronged stalls now see fewer visitors, their vibrant colours mellowing in the fading light. The lively chatter and clatter soften into a gentle murmur, like a distant melody winding down. Vendors start to pack away their unsold goods with practised hands, folding cloth carefully, stacking empty baskets, and wrapping fragile items in coarse linen. The blacksmith's hammer slows, its rhythmic pounding replaced by the gentle scrape of tools being cleaned and stored. The aroma of roasting meats fades as fires are smothered, smoke drifting upward in lazy tendrils. You notice a few lingering customers, their faces tired but content, speaking quietly with sellers as they make last-minute purchases. Fresh eggs for tomorrow's breakfast, a small wedge of cheese to tide the family through the night. The warmth of shared smiles and polite nods fills the air. the subtle acknowledgement of a day's labour drawing to a close. The market guards make their rounds, their armour glinting softly in the twilight. They exchange brief words with vendors, ensuring all is in order before the square empties further. Lanterns are lit, simple iron frames holding flickering candles that cast dancing shadows on the stone walls and weave a new pattern of light and dark across the market stalls. You feel the cool evening breeze stir the fading scents of earth and spice, wrapping the marketplace in a gentle hush. The air holds a quiet promise, the steady assurance that tomorrow the square will come alive once more with the same timeless rhythms of trade, conversation, and life. As you turn away from the market, the last sounds of footsteps and folding canvas linger softly behind you, a gentle farewell from a world that moves slowly but surely, marked by the steady flow of days and the enduring pulse of human connection. Before dawn breaks, you find yourself returning to the marketplace, now silent and shadowed under the deep indigo sky. The world is still, the air crisp and cool, carrying the faintest hint of earth and wood smoke from nearby hearths. The stone pavements, worn smooth by countless footsteps, are damp with morning dew, reflecting the pale light of a few scattered stars. Slowly, the market begins to stir. Stallholders arrive early, their figures moving with quiet purpose through the cool air. You watch as a cart laden with fresh vegetables creaks into place, the vendor's breath visible in the chill as he unpacks baskets of cabbages, onions and turnips. The first scents of the day mingle, moist soil, fresh herbs, and the faint tang of salted fish from the coastal traders. Blacksmiths stoke their fires, the orange glow flickering softly as embers catch and sparks rise. The rhythmic tapping of hammer on anvil soon begins, low and steady, echoing faintly through the waking town. Nearby, bakers prepare their ovens, kneading dough with practiced hands, readying loaves to warm the market by mid-morning. You notice women gathering herbs and flowers, arranging them neatly for sale, lavender, chamomile and mint, offering not just fragrance but remedies and comfort for the day ahead. The hum of whispered greetings fills the air as familiar faces greet each other with quiet smiles, sharing news and plans in soft tones. The market breathes to life gently, a slow unfolding of movement and sound, as vendors prepare their stalls and the town begins to wake. The anticipation of the day ahead wraps around you like a soft blanket, comforting and familiar. You feel the steady heartbeat of the marketplace, the promise of trade, of connection, and the endless, patient rhythm of life continuing day after day. As the market fully awakens under the soft morning light, you find yourself drawn into the delicate dance of bartering that shapes every transaction here. It is a ritual both ancient and intimate, a conversation of glances, words, and subtle movements that bridges the gap between need and value. A merchant displays a row of finely crafted leather belts, their surfaces smooth and polished. A customer steps forward, fingers tracing the edges thoughtfully. The merchant names a price, firm but fair, but the buyer's brow furrows, and with careful tone, a counteroffer emerges. Neither rushes, each word is measured, each glance a test of patience and understanding. You watch as the exchange unfolds, a silent negotiation full of unspoken respect. The merchant points to the quality of his work, the sturdiness of the leather, the neat stitching, and the buyer nods slowly, weighing not only the coin but the story behind the craft. Sometimes a small favour or promise of future business colours the conversation, turning commerce into relationship. Bartering is not mere haggling, it is a social dance, a way to connect beyond the surface of goods and coins. The rhythm is slow, deliberate, marked by pauses and shifts, where both sides seek a balance that honours their needs and preserves dignity. You see smiles break out when an agreement is reached, hands shake, and coins change pockets with quiet satisfaction. The process is different for every kind of product. For spices or cloth, the merchant might demonstrate quality by unravelling a thread or letting a pinch of powder slip through fingers. For livestock or grain, a careful inspection or a test of weight adds another layer to the dialogue. The marketplace becomes a stage where trust is built, strengthened, or sometimes lost in the rhythm of give and take. As you move through the crowd, the soft murmur of bartering fills your ears, a symphony of voices rising and falling, weaving through the stalls like a gentle tide. It is the heartbeat of the market, the living expression of a community bound not only by necessity, but by a shared understanding of value and respect. You carry this rhythm with you, the steady pulse of negotiation and connection echoing softly beneath the day's unfolding story. Among the vibrant colours, lively voices and clinking coins, a quieter tension hums beneath the surface of the medieval marketplace, the ever-present risk of theft. You sense it in the subtle glances, the quick shifts of shadow, and the sharp eyes that dart between bustling crowds. Pickpockets, skilled and nimble, make their presence known not by noise but by silence and swiftness. They move like shadows, weaving through clusters of people with practiced ease. Fingers brush pockets, purses and belts, searching for loose coins or small valuables. Their work is delicate, relying on distraction and the natural jostle of the crowd. Yet, the marketplace is far from defenceless. Watchmen patrol the square, their expressions serious beneath helmets dented by countless days of service. They stand at strategic points, near busy stalls, beside narrow alleys, and by the entrances, ever vigilant against those who would upset the fragile order. Their hands rest on wooden clubs or short swords, a reminder that while the market thrives on trust, it also guards against betrayal. Merchants and buyers alike practice subtle caution. You notice a woman clutching her purse tightly, her eyes scanning the crowd, while a trader counts coins discreetly behind the cover of his stall. Vendors often band together, sharing information about suspicious characters or recent thefts, forming a quiet network of protection. Occasionally you witness the consequences of a caught thief, a brief, tense confrontation followed by swift justice. Punishments are public and meant to serve as warnings, but there is also room for mercy, especially for those driven by desperation rather than malice. This delicate balance between risk and security adds a layer of complexity to the market's life. It reminds you that beneath the warmth of human connection lies a constant vigilance, a silent negotiation between freedom and order. As you continue your journey through the marketplace, the awareness of watchful eyes and cautious steps becomes part of the tapestry, a quiet tension woven into the lively fabric of trade, trust and survival. As you wander deeper into the heart of the marketplace, your senses are drawn irresistibly to a cluster of food stalls, where the rich, inviting aromas weave through the air like a gentle spell. The scent of roasting meats mingles with fresh bread baking in clay ovens, creating a warm, comforting atmosphere that draws a steady stream of visitors. You see large spits turning slowly over open flames, where whole chickens and cuts of pork sizzle and caramelize, their skins crisping to a golden brown. A vendor expertly carves slices, handing them over wrapped in coarse paper to waiting customers whose eyes gleam with anticipation. The crackle of firewood and the occasional pop of dripping fat punctuate the steady murmur of conversation. Nearby, pots bubble with thick stews, hearty blends of beans, root vegetables and chunks of salted meat, offering warmth and sustenance to those who linger. The rich, earthy smells hint at the simple but satisfying meals that form the backbone of daily life. Bowls of thick porridge sit alongside platters of cheese and freshly picked herbs, each item telling a story of local harvests and seasonal cycles. Sweet stalls add another layer to this tapestry of flavours. Vendors offer small cakes made from honey and spices, dried fruits glazed with sugar, and nuts roasted slowly over coals. Children tug at their parents' hands, eyes wide with longing as they point to these treats, their delight a quiet thread of joy amid the market's busyness. The food stalls are more than just places to eat. They are social hubs, where people pause to rest, share news, and find comfort in familiar tastes. The vendors greet regular customers by name, and the act of breaking bread together here feels like a small ritual of community. As you move through the fragrant air, the richness of the marketplace's food awakens a deeper connection to the land and the people who cultivate it. Each bite, each scent, is a reminder that beneath the exchange of goods lies a shared human experience, of hunger, warmth, and the simple pleasure of a meal enjoyed in good company. As you wander further through the marketplace, the layers of sound become a world in themselves, an ever-shifting tapestry woven from voices, footsteps, animals, and the subtle hum of daily life. The cacophony is not chaos, but a complex melody that fills the air, guiding the rhythm of trade and conversation. You hear the sharp calls of vendors advertising their goods, fresh apples, crisp and sweet, or fine cloth, straight from the weaver's loom. Each voice carries a unique tone, some high and cheerful, others deep and measured, each shaped by the speaker's trade, personality and purpose. The calls rise and fall, overlapping like waves, inviting buyers closer or signalling a bargain. Among these louder voices, quieter conversations unfold, whispers exchanged over a basket of herbs, laughter shared between friends meeting by chance, the occasional argument settled with firm words and nods. The language here is as varied as the goods themselves, a blend of local dialects and the accents of travellers and traders from distant places. The clatter of wooden carts on cobblestones adds a steady percussion, punctuated by the braying of pack animals and the occasional neigh of a restless horse. Metal tools tapping on anvils ring out from the smithy, while children's laughter bubbles up, weaving innocence and lightness into the fabric of the market. You notice how the sounds change as you move from stall to stall, soft murmurs near the spice trader, lively bargaining near the cloth merchant, and a gentle hum of contentment where food is served. The marketplace sings with life, each note contributing to a symphony that is at once vibrant and soothing. This soundscape is a living map, guiding you through the market's twists and turns, revealing its character and soul. It is a reminder that the marketplace is not merely a place of commerce, but a gathering of lives, voices and stories, each one a thread in the rich, endless weave of human connection. As you move toward the far edges of the marketplace, where the air feels heavier with the mingled scents of unfamiliar spices and finely crafted goods, you step into a world that stretches far beyond the cobblestones beneath your feet. Here lies the tangible result of vast trade networks that span continents and seas, bringing treasures from distant lands to this bustling square. You pause before a stall draped in rich, vibrant fabrics, silks shimmering in hues of deep crimson, royal blue, and golden saffron. These are not native to the countryside, but have travelled thousands of miles from the looms of the East, carried by caravans that cross deserts and traders who brave treacherous seas. The merchant, clad in a turban and embroidered robes, offers you a small piece of finely woven silk, its texture cool and smooth beneath your fingers. He speaks of its origins in far-off cities like Baghdad and Samarkand, where skilled artisans have laboured for generations to create such delicate beauty. Nearby, piles of spices emit heady, exotic fragrances. Cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg mingle with the sharp bite of peppercorns and the sweet warmth of cardamom. These spices, coveted not only for their flavour, but also for their rarity and preservative qualities, have journeyed through winding trade routes, changing hands countless times. Each pinch tells a story of deserts crossed, mountains scaled, and seas navigated, a testament to human ambition and curiosity. You catch sight of glassware unlike anything made locally, delicate bottles and vessels of crystal-clear glass, catching the sunlight and scattering rainbows across the stalls. Their craftsmanship speaks of skilled Venetian artisans, masters of glass blowing, whose products have become prized possessions far from the canals of Italy. Even metals and coins from distant realms appear here. A Byzantine gold coin, a copper piece stamped with unfamiliar symbols, each a whisper of economies and empires far beyond the town's walls. These objects hint at alliances, conquests, and the complex diplomacy that underpins trade. Yet, the marketplace is not just a point of arrival, but a place of transformation. Local artisans incorporate exotic dyes into their textiles, cooks experiment with new spices in their stews, and traders weave tales of foreign lands to entice curious customers. The marketplace becomes a crossroads where cultures blend, new ideas take root, and the boundaries of the known world expand. As you stand amidst this mosaic of colours, scents, and stories, you realise that the market is a living map of human connection, an intricate web stretching beyond horizons, binding disparate peoples through the simple act of exchange. Every fabric, spice, and coin carries the weight of journeys long and perilous, the hopes of traders, and the dreams of those who await new wonders in their daily lives. The distant sounds of bells and the low murmur of conversation blend with the steady heartbeat of commerce here, reminding you that beneath the surface of every transaction lies a vast invisible world. A world that, like the marketplace itself, is alive with motion, possibility, and enduring human spirit. As the afternoon sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows across the marketplace, you find yourself drawn toward the sturdier, more structured stalls clustered near the town hall and the old stone guild hall. Here, the presence of the guilds is unmistakable, a force both visible and subtle, shaping the very fabric of commerce and craftsmanship in the medieval town. Guilds are more than mere associations of tradesmen. They are the guardians of quality, tradition, and social order. Each guild, whether of bakers, weavers, blacksmiths, or cobblers, holds a near sacred place in the community, their rules and regulations binding members in a strict code of conduct. The guild hall itself stands as a symbol of this power, a place where masters convene to set standards, resolve disputes, and safeguard the reputations of their crafts. You watch a group of men and women in simple but neat clothing, marked by the embroidered symbols of their trade, gathering in quiet conversation. Their faces are serious, voices low but purposeful. These are the masters and journeymen, experienced hands who have proven their skill through years of apprenticeship and strict examination. Younger apprentices move nearby, learning not only the craft but the unwritten rules of loyalty, honour, and mutual protection. At a nearby stall, a blacksmith's hammer falls in steady rhythm on glowing iron, shaping horseshoes and tools with practiced ease. The blacksmith's guild has strict rules about who may work and sell. No untrained hands are allowed, and quality is fiercely protected. Merchants from outside the guild find it difficult, if not impossible, to undercut prices or sell shoddy goods. This system preserves the guild's reputation, but also enforces a delicate balance of competition and cooperation. You notice small tokens and marks on goods, stamps indicating that a piece has passed guild inspection. These marks serve as silent promises to buyers, assuring quality and fair pricing. Without such symbols, trust would be impossible, and the marketplace would unravel into chaos. Guild members also take on social responsibilities. They care for widows and orphans of their trade, support members in times of illness, and contribute to the town's religious and civic life. In a world often harsh and uncertain, the guild offers a sense of belonging and protection, binding individuals into a collective stronger than the sum of its parts. Yet, the guilds can be restrictive, guarding their privileges jealously. Apprentices must prove themselves worthy, and outsiders are often excluded from profitable trades. This exclusivity shapes the social order, reinforcing hierarchies within the market and the wider town. As you observe this complex web of rules, rituals, and relationships, you begin to understand that the guilds are the quiet architects of the marketplace's stability. They shape not only what is bought and sold, but how people relate to one another, their expectations, their trust, and their place in the community. The marketplace, you realize, is as much about human bonds and social contracts as it is about goods and coin. It is a living organism, pulsing with tradition and change, order and negotiation, where every piece of crafted iron or woven cloth carries the weight of centuries-old customs and the hopes of those who carry them forward. As the evening deepens and the shadows lengthen, the Guildhall doors close for the day, but the influence of its members lingers in every corner of the market, a steady, unseen hand guiding the flow of trade and the heartbeat of the town itself. As the day stretches toward its gentle close, your footsteps carry you through the more intimate corners of the marketplace, where the presence of women is both visible and vital. Unlike the rigid hierarchies of guilds dominated by men, women carve their own paths here, sometimes officially, often quietly, but always with undeniable influence. You notice groups of women gathered around small stalls or carts, their voices soft yet purposeful as they display baskets brimming with fresh eggs, hand-picked herbs, and garden vegetables. Their hands are weathered but deft, accustomed to the rhythms of planting and harvesting, gathering and selling. Many are wives or widows who rely on the market not only as a source of income but as a means of survival for their families. In certain trades, women hold recognized roles. You see midwives and herbalists offering remedies made from local plants, chamomile for calming, willow bark as a pain reliever, traditions passed down through generations. Their stalls are fragrant with dried flowers and roots, attracting those seeking both physical healing and comfort. Some women participate more indirectly, supporting their husbands or brothers who are guild members, managing household sales of surplus goods, or serving as intermediaries between producers and buyers. Their knowledge of the market's ebb and flow, knowing when to sell, whom to trust, and how to spot a fair price is a quiet expertise woven into the fabric of daily commerce. Yet, the marketplace is not without its challenges for women. Their legal rights are often limited, and societal expectations confine many to specific roles. Widows sometimes gain more freedom to conduct business, but young women typically work within the bounds of family oversight. Despite this, many display resilience and ingenuity, bartering cleverly, cultivating niche products, or using the market's social networks to find support. At a bustling food stall, you observe a mother balancing a basket of freshly baked bread while soothing a small child. Her eyes flicker with both fatigue and determination, a quiet testament to the endurance required to thrive in this world. Nearby, a young woman sells embroidered linens, her fingers nimble as she displays intricate patterns that tell stories of love, faith, and heritage. You also glimpse the social side of women's roles, market days as moments of gathering, where news is exchanged, friendships nurtured, and alliances formed. For many, the marketplace is as much a social hub as a commercial one, a place where community is both strengthened and tested. As you watch these scenes unfold, you realize the marketplace is not a single story, but a tapestry of many lives, layered with subtle power and quiet influence. Women, though often overlooked in the official chronicles, are indispensable threads in this living fabric, carriers of knowledge, resilience, and connection. The sun dips lower now, casting a warm glow that softens the stone and wood around you. In this fading light, the marketplace feels less like a place of business and more like a shared heartbeat, steady, enduring, and full of unseen strength. You carry the image of these women with you, their presence a reminder that history lives not only in grand events, but in the everyday acts of courage and care that sustain a community across time. As twilight deepens and the marketplace settles into a quieter rhythm, your attention turns to the lifeblood of all these bustling transactions, the currency itself. Though the clinking of coins is ever present, the ways in which people exchange value here are far more intricate than simply passing metal from hand to hand. The marketplace thrives on a delicate system of trust, tokens, and credit that sustains its complex economy. You observe a merchant carefully weighing a handful of silver pennies, each bearing the worn image of a distant ruler, coins that have travelled through many hands and across many lands before resting in this small town. These coins, minted by kings or local authorities, serve as a standardized measure of value, but their worth fluctuates with political tides, regional wars, and even the availability of precious metals. The merchant's fingers brush a few clipped or worn pieces, signs of coins trimmed to steal small amounts of silver, reminding you that even currency itself is subject to fraud and scrutiny. Yet, in this market, the use of coin is only part of the story. You notice a small wooden token, simple, crudely carved, being exchanged in place of coin among regular customers. These tokens, issued by guilds or wealthy merchants, act as a form of local credit or voucher, redeemable for goods or services at participating stalls. They are a practical solution to the shortage of official coinage, which often limits trade in medieval towns, and they rely heavily on the mutual trust between issuer and holder. You overhear a conversation between a buyer and seller discussing an IOU, an informal promise to pay later, often secured by personal relationships or community standing. Such credit arrangements weave an invisible network of obligation and honour, binding families and tradespeople across weeks or months. These deferred payments are a lifeline for many, allowing purchases to be made even in lean times, but they also carry the risk of debt and dispute. Money changers, positioned near the market's centre, play a vital role in this system. You watch as one carefully examines a batch of foreign coins, testing their weight and shine before exchanging them for local currency. Their sharp eyes and steady hands ensure that the market's currency remains trustworthy, bridging gaps between distant economies and supporting the flow of trade. Bartering, too, remains an essential part of exchange, sometimes preferred when coin is scarce or for goods not easily priced. You see farmers trading sacks of grain for barrels of salted fish, and craftsmen swapping tools for fabrics, negotiating value not in numbers but in mutual need and fairness. The marketplace's economy, you realize, is a living, breathing organism, delicate and adaptive. Currency is more than metal. It is trust made tangible, a system balanced on reputation, community ties, and the unspoken rules of honour. In this way, the market thrives not only on goods, but on the shared faith of those who participate in its intricate dance. As the evening deepens into night, the soft glow of lanterns reflects off coins and tokens alike, illuminating the subtle economy that supports the town's heartbeat. You carry with you the understanding that behind every coin exchanged lies a world of relationships, risks, and hopes, an ancient story of human connection told in silver and trust. As the sun dips low beyond the rooftops, the once vibrant marketplace begins to shift into a gentler, quieter rhythm. The bustling noise and frenzied exchanges give way to a more subdued atmosphere, where the fading light casts long, soft shadows across the worn cobblestones and weathered timber stalls. This slow transformation marks not just the end of a day's trade, but a series of time-honoured rituals that signal the marketplace's transition from lively hub to resting place. You notice merchants starting to pack away their wares with practiced efficiency, folding bright bolts of cloth into neat bundles, stacking empty crates with care, and covering baskets with coarse cloth to protect any remaining goods. The rustling of fabric and the soft clatter of wooden boxes create a soothing, repetitive sound that mingles with the occasional murmur of conversation. There is a certain peacefulness in this shared routine, a collective acknowledgement that today's business has drawn to a close. Vendors sweep their stalls with bundles of straw or twigs tied to wooden handles, sending dust motes swirling gently in the last rays of sunlight. The scent of hay and earth blends with the lingering aromas of cooked meats and freshly baked bread, now fading like a distant memory. Nearby, the food stalls extinguish their fires carefully. Embers glow faintly before being smothered under ashes. The marketplace exhales, the intense energy of the day dissolving into calm. As people prepare to leave, small groups gather near the market square's centre, exchanging news, gossip, or plans for the following day. These gatherings serve as a quiet social ritual where relationships formed or strengthened during the day are renewed before parting. The town's watchmen make their rounds, their footsteps steady and deliberate, signalling a return to order and security as evening descends. You see merchants counting their earnings beneath the fading light, their expressions a mix of satisfaction, fatigue, and cautious hope. Some consult ledgers, making notes by candlelight to keep track of debts, credits, and the day's profits. For many, the marketplace is not only a place of commerce, but a ledger of survival, where each coin earned or lost carries weight far beyond its face value. At the edge of the square, apprentices and younger helpers begin to gather tools, sweep the ground, or collect stray goods left behind. Their movements are slower now, tired from hours of work, but their eyes reflect the lessons learned in this living classroom. Here, they absorb not just trade skills, but the rhythms of market life, the ebb and flow, the subtle signals that mark success or caution. The last few customers linger near stalls, picking up forgotten purchases or sharing a quiet word with vendors, before disappearing into the winding streets beyond. The town's cats, once hidden, emerge cautiously to scavenge crumbs and scraps, their soft paws pattering through empty alleys. You breathe in this moment, the gentle cooling of air, the dimming light, and the soft closure of a day's chapter. The marketplace, once a whirlwind of sights, sounds, and smells, now rests beneath a blanket of calm, ready to awaken again with the dawn. It is a reminder that within the constant movement and exchange lies a steady heartbeat of tradition and community, pulsing quietly beneath the surface. As night fully settles and lanterns flicker to life, the market square stands hushed, holding the stories of the day in its stones and shadows. You carry with you this sense of peaceful closure, the knowing that every ending is but a pause before the endless rhythm begins anew. As twilight fades into the deepening evening, and the last flickers of candlelight shimmer through the market stalls, you find yourself reflecting on one of the most fundamental and nuanced aspects of medieval marketplace life, the art of bartering. Unlike the straightforward exchange of coin for goods, bartering is a delicate dance of words, gestures, and careful calculation, a subtle dialogue between buyer and seller that balances necessity, pride, and trust. You imagine yourself stepping into this ancient ritual, where prices are rarely fixed, and the first number offered is often only the beginning of a conversation. The merchant, standing behind a stall heavy with fine cloth or ripe fruit, begins with a firm, confident price, knowing well the value of his goods, but also the expectations of haggling that accompany any true market encounter. Your role, as a buyer, is to engage, not with haste or blunt refusal, but with measured patience and tact. You observe the quality of the goods, the merchant's demeanour, the flow of people around you, and even the time of day. Are you an early visitor when selection is best but price is firm? Or are you a latecomer, hoping to catch bargains as the merchant grows weary of unsold stock? You might begin by complimenting the craftsmanship or freshness of the product, signalling respect while gently pressing for a better price. Your voice lowers to a calm tone, your eyes steady but kind. You offer a figure lower than the asking price, not so low as to offend but enough to invite negotiation. The merchant responds with a counteroffer, and so the dialogue flows back and forth like a slow-moving current. In this exchange, both parties seek a balance, a price that honours the worth of the goods and the buyer's limited purse, yet also maintains the dignity of the seller's labour and reputation. Sometimes, the negotiation is punctuated with humour or stories, tales of the goods' origins, the journey they endured, or a shared joke about the vagaries of market life. These moments soften the transaction, transforming it from mere commerce into a human connection. Bartering is not simply about money, it is about relationships and social bonds. A skillful bargainer reads the unspoken cues, hesitation, enthusiasm, fatigue, and adjusts their approach accordingly. A fair deal can lead to future favours, credit extended, or priority on rare goods. Conversely, a harsh bargain that offends can close doors and sour reputations. Children learn this dance early, watching parents and elders haggle in the marketplace's vibrant chorus. Apprentices are taught the balance of firmness and flexibility, learning that successful negotiation requires empathy as much as shrewdness. In this way, the marketplace serves as a school not only of commerce, but of social grace and survival. As you imagine yourself stepping back from the negotiation, goods wrapped carefully in cloth or basket, coins exchanged with a nod and a smile, you realize that bartering is a quiet art, one that sustains the pulse of the market and weaves individuals into a shared story of trust, respect, and mutual need. It is a dance that shapes the rhythm of medieval life, echoing through the centuries as a testament to human ingenuity and connection. As the cool evening air settles over the marketplace, you find yourself drawn to the inviting warmth and tantalizing aromas wafting from a cluster of food stalls lining one side of the square. Here, amid the fading bustle of trade, the marketplace transforms into a vibrant sensory haven where the sights, smells, and sounds of cooking create a world apart, a place where the daily grind softens into moments of shared nourishment and quiet conversation. The first thing you notice is the rich mingling fragrance, smoky wood fires, sizzling meat, the sweet and pungent scents of herbs and spices. These smells beckon both townsfolk and travellers alike, promising comfort and indulgence after a long day. The vendors themselves are a mix of seasoned cooks and eager apprentices, tending their fires with practiced care, stirring large pots or turning spits laden with roasting game. You approach a stall where a woman tends a bubbling cauldron of thick, fragrant stew, its contents a mystery until she ladles out generous portions of tender meat and root vegetables into coarse wooden bowls. The stew is simple, but hearty, a reflection of local ingredients and age-old recipes passed down through families, simmered slowly to coax out deep flavours. Nearby, another vendor offers freshly baked flatbreads, still warm and soft, perfect for dipping into the rich sauces and stews. The variety of foods here speaks to the marketplace's role as a cultural crossroads. Alongside local favourites, you catch hints of more exotic flavours, fragrant honey-sweetened pastries dusted with crushed nuts and cinnamon, likely inspired by distant lands, pickled vegetables preserved in vinegar and herbs, their sharpness a counterpoint to richer fare, and spiced sausages hanging from hooks, their aroma bold and inviting. Food stalls are more than mere vendors, they are social hubs. Customers cluster around benches or lean against carts, sharing stories between bites. The chatter is a gentle hum, punctuated by the clinking of wooden spoons against bowls and the occasional burst of laughter. You see families gathered together, labourers pausing from their work, and travellers eager to taste the town's specialties. In this mix, the market food becomes a kind of language, a way to connect across ages, classes, and origins. Behind the scenes, the preparation and sale of food are regulated by guild-like customs, though less formal than those governing cloth or metal trades. Cooks must maintain cleanliness, control prices to prevent cheating, and often pay fees for stall space. The Town Watch occasionally patrols these areas, ensuring fair dealing and safety, especially during busy festivals or feast days. You notice how some vendors skillfully manage their flames, coals glowing beneath iron pots, skewers rotating slowly over embers, each motion honed by years of experience. The rhythmic turning of the spit, the gentle stirring of stew, and the crisp crackle of bread baking create a soothing soundtrack, underscoring the timelessness of these culinary rituals. As night falls, lanterns are lit, casting a warm glow that flickers across steaming pots and the eager faces of patrons. The marketplace's food stalls become beacons of comfort and community, places where the day's labour finds its reward in shared meals and simple pleasures. You linger a moment longer, savouring the mingled aromas and imagining the stories behind each recipe. The hands that gathered herbs, the fires tended with care, the laughter shared over many such meals through countless generations. Here, in this modest corner of the market, the essence of medieval life unfolds not just in commerce, but in the quiet, enduring act of breaking bread together. As the night deepens and the marketplace begins to empty, the golden hues of lantern light soften into a gentle, shadowy twilight. The lively crowds have thinned, the clamour of barter and trade replaced by quieter footsteps and muted conversations. But beneath this calm lies another story, one less spoken of yet ever present. The constant risk of theft and the measures taken to protect both merchants and customers from the wily pickpockets and opportunistic thieves who haunt the market's lively lanes. Walking through the narrowing alleys and dimly lit corners, you become aware of the subtle vigilance that underpins every movement. The marketplace, while a place of community and commerce, is also a place of risk, a microcosm where the stark realities of medieval life reveal themselves in shadows and whispers. Pickpockets are skilled and practiced, their presence woven into the very fabric of market life. You imagine their nimble fingers slipping into loose pockets or deftly lifting purses from distracted hands. They move like shadows, blending effortlessly into crowds, using the noise, the hustle, and the packed stalls as cover for their silent work. Their targets are often the wealthy merchants, travellers with unfamiliar routes, or even common folk whose coins represent vital sustenance. Yet, sometimes even the seasoned shopper can be caught unaware, the sudden absence of a coin purse unravelling a day's hard-earned gains. In response, the marketplace is not without its defences. Town watchmen patrol the streets with steady, watchful eyes. Their presence, marked by the clink of armour and the heft of wooden staffs, serves as both deterrent and reassurance. These guards often form a visible line near the entrances to the market, watching for suspicious movements and occasionally inspecting bundles or questioning strangers. Though their numbers are limited, their role is crucial in maintaining a semblance of order amid the market's chaos. Merchants, too, take precautions. Many wear money belts hidden beneath layers of clothing, or secure their coin purses with simple locks or cords. Some stalls are constructed to allow for quick closure, and valuables are kept under watchful eyes or hidden in secret compartments. Trusted assistants and family members often handle money, minimizing the risk of loss. You hear whispered stories from vendors about cunning thieves who use distraction, spilling a basket of apples, starting a sudden argument, or dropping a coin, to divert attention while their partners slip into pockets or open bags. These tales circulate as warnings, teaching newcomers and children alike the importance of awareness and caution. Interestingly, the market also fosters an informal community of mutual support. Victims of theft often find help from fellow merchants or neighbours who may have witnessed the crime or who band together to keep an eye on suspicious figures. Local custom sometimes dictates that thieves caught red-handed are punished harshly, with public shaming, fines, or even imprisonment, reinforcing the market's underlying social contract. Despite these threats, the market endures, its vitality stronger than the shadows that lurk within. The risks faced by merchants and customers are part of a larger tapestry of life in a medieval town, where trust is hard won and vigilance never ceases. The presence of pickpockets serves as a reminder that beneath the marketplace's surface of trade and community lies a delicate balance between openness and caution. As you move quietly away from the dimly lit stalls, your mind lingers on the many unseen forces at play, both the light of commerce and the shadows of human nature. The medieval marketplace is not merely a place of goods exchanged. It is a living, breathing world where every coin, every glance, and every step carries meaning shaped by centuries of shared experience, risk, and resilience. As the marketplace's energy begins to settle into a steady, quieter hum, you turn your attention to one of the most defining and enduring structures underpinning this bustling world, the guilds. These powerful, often unseen organizations govern the marketplace in ways that shape every transaction, every craft, and every life touched by commerce. Though their presence might not always be obvious to the casual visitor, their influence is woven into the very fabric of trade, order, and community in the medieval town. You imagine stepping into this system, where membership in a guild is more than a mere professional affiliation. It is a lifelong commitment, a protective shield, and a strict code of conduct. Each trade, whether weaving, smithing, baking, or tanning, has its own guild, and these guilds form a complex network of rules and relationships designed to regulate quality, prices, apprenticeships, and competition. They ensure that merchants and craftsmen maintain standards that protect not only their own interests, but the reputation of their entire trade. Walking past the stalls, you observe the marks and signs, symbols embroidered on banners or carved into shop signs, that denote guild membership. These emblems serve as badges of trust and skill, reassuring customers that the goods and services offered meet an accepted standard. Behind the scenes, guilds monitor members closely, holding regular meetings where disputes are settled, techniques are shared, and the welfare of members is discussed. You learn that guilds also control the training of apprentices, young boys, and sometimes girls, who enter into years of rigorous instruction under a master craftsman. These apprentices live with their masters, learning not just the trade itself, but the ethics, traditions, and social rules that govern their future roles. Becoming a master requires producing a masterpiece, a work judged by the guild to demonstrate sufficient skill, creativity, and adherence to standards. Guilds wield significant economic power, setting minimum prices and controlling the supply of goods to avoid undercutting. This system protects members from ruinous competition, but can sometimes lead to tensions with customers who might chafe at prices perceived as high. At market fairs or special occasions, guild representatives inspect goods for quality and authenticity, enforcing rules that, when broken, can result in fines or expulsion. Beyond economics, guilds are social and religious communities. Many sponsor chapels or altars, organize charitable works, and hold feasts to honor patron saints. Membership often involves mutual support in times of illness, death, or hardship, guild halls serving as centers of fellowship and security. You reflect on the invisible but unyielding hand of the guilds as they maintain order amidst the market's apparent chaos. Their influence ensures a level of predictability and trust, creating a market where artisans can craft with pride and buyers can purchase with confidence. Yet, this order comes with strict boundaries, limiting who may trade, where, and how. A delicate balance between protection and control. As night fully descends and the last lanterns flicker out, you carry with you the understanding that the medieval marketplace is not only a place of vibrant commerce, but also a carefully regulated world shaped by the collective will of guilds. Their power is a quiet force, guiding the market's pulse and anchoring the community in a shared tradition that reaches far beyond the day's transactions. As the market's bustle fades into evening quiet, your thoughts wander beyond the town's walls, tracing the remarkable journeys that brought the goods you've seen here to this very place. The medieval marketplace is not just a local affair, it is a node in an expansive network that stretches across continents, connecting distant lands, peoples, and cultures through the exchange of commodities and stories. Imagine, for a moment, a bolt of vibrant silk draped over a merchant's stall. Its lustrous threads shimmer with the colours of faraway realms, rich reds, deep blues, and shimmering golds, crafted by skilled hands in workshops thousands of miles distant, perhaps in the bustling cities of the Byzantine Empire or the far reaches of the Silk Road. This silk did not appear by chance. It travelled a vast and perilous route, carried by caravans that crossed arid deserts, navigated treacherous mountain passes, or sailed across turbulent seas. You envision the long chain of people involved: caravan leaders and camel drivers, sailors and dock workers, middlemen and local traders, each adding their mark, their price, and their story to the goods as they changed hands. Along the way, goods were packed carefully, repacked and inspected, protected from theft and the elements, and sometimes stored in fortified warehouses or bustling ports where many cultures converged. Spices are another example: the fragrant pepper, cinnamon, and cloves that scent the air around certain stalls. These spices come from tropical islands, places of exotic mystery to most townsfolk. Their value is immense, for they not only flavour food but also serve as medicine and symbols of status. The journey of these spices involves crossing oceans and navigating political alliances and rivalries between empires, making their arrival at the market a small miracle of persistence and negotiation. Similarly, you consider grains and wines, metals and cloth, each with origins as diverse as the people who brought them. Some goods arrive via rivers and canals, moving silently under moonlight on barges loaded with barrels and sacks. Others come overland along well-worn trade routes, the roads themselves lined with inns and caravansaries offering rest and respite. All these goods converge in the marketplace, creating a sensory tapestry that is both local and global. The merchant's call, the buyer's bartering, the smell of fresh bread mingled with foreign spices, all are threads in this complex fabric of commerce and culture. You realize that the medieval marketplace is a gateway, a living crossroads where the world's diversity touches the everyday lives of people who may never travel beyond their town's borders. In every piece of cloth, every jar of honey, every metal tool lies a story of distance, effort, and human connection. The market is thus not just a place of exchange, but a testament to the extraordinary journeys that make such exchange possible. As the night deepens and you walk away from the quiet stalls, the world beyond feels closer, more tangible. You carry with you the understanding that every good here is a traveller, every price tag a record of passage, and every market day a meeting point in the long and winding road of human history. As the marketplace's lights dim and the last few patrons trickle away, your mind turns to the essential medium that powers all these exchanges: money. In the medieval world, currency is not just a simple tool of trade. It is a complex, often fragile symbol of trust, value, and power, carefully regulated and deeply woven into the fabric of market life. You imagine stepping into the shoes of a medieval shopper, feeling the weight of coins in your pouch, copper pennies, silver groats, or perhaps gold florins, each stamped with the image of a ruler or mint mark. These coins represent not just metal but authority, backed by the king or local lord who guarantees their value. Yet, currency is not always uniform. Regional variations and fluctuating purity levels create a landscape where knowledge and experience become vital to assessing true worth. The coins change hands rapidly in the marketplace, jingling softly against wooden counters and woven baskets, but cash is not always king. Many transactions rely on credit, especially among regular customers and trusted merchants. A nod, a written note, or a verbal promise might secure goods with payment deferred until the buyer can afford the cost. This system depends entirely on reputation and trust, often maintained through close-knit social ties, reinforced by the watchful eyes of guilds and community leaders. Moneylenders and money changers also play a subtle but critical role. At the edges of the market square, these individuals offer services that facilitate trade, exchanging foreign coins, advancing loans, or providing small sums to tide over merchants or buyers. Their tables are scattered with scales, weights, and small knives, used to test the metal content of coins, ensuring authenticity in an era before standardized banking. You notice how prices are expressed carefully in terms of weight and purity, with merchants skilled in calculating fair exchanges and wary of counterfeit or clipped coins. Sometimes, a barter or part payment in kind supplements the monetary transaction. A handful of eggs, a measure of grain, or labour owed, creating a flexible economy adapted to the uncertainties of medieval life. The power of money extends beyond trade. Coins often bear political and religious symbols, reinforcing the legitimacy of rulers and the social order. Taxes and tolls, collected in coin, feed the coffers of local authorities, linking the marketplace to the broader structures of power. At the same time, scarcity of coin can limit commerce, causing stalls to empty and trade to slow. As the market quiets, You reflect on the delicate dance that money demands, a constant negotiation of value, trust, and authority. Every coin spent or received is a thread in the web of relationships and power that sustain the marketplace and the community it serves. In this medieval world, money is far more than metal. It is a living symbol of connection, promise, and sometimes risk. A reminder that behind every transaction lies a human story, delicate and enduring, shaped by both tangible wealth and intangible trust. As the marketplace settles into the quiet stillness of night, your thoughts drift toward the broader rhythm of medieval market life, the ebb and flow of days, weeks, and seasons that shape the very heartbeat of this communal space. The market is far more than a mere place of exchange. It is a living organism pulsating with cycles of anticipation, celebration, labour, and rest, reflecting the deep connection between commerce, community, and culture. You imagine waking early on a market day, as the first pale light brushes the rooftops, and the town stirs with purposeful energy. Market days, often set on specific days of the week or tied to religious calendars, are eagerly awaited events when farmers, artisans, and traders gather to sell their wares. These days mark a break from routine, drawing people from the surrounding countryside and neighbouring villages into the town's centre, transforming it into a vibrant mosaic of sounds, sights, and smells. The air fills quickly with the calls of vendors, the laughter of children weaving through the crowd, and the steady clatter of carts and hooves on cobblestones. Fresh produce, meats, textiles, tools, and curiosities spread across tables and stalls, arranged carefully to catch the eye. You feel the thrill of possibility in the air, what rare goods might appear, what bargains could be struck, and what news or gossip might be exchanged alongside the commerce. Market days are also social occasions. Beyond buying and selling, they are moments of reunion, where neighbours meet after days apart, and strangers mingle under the shared canopy of commerce. Town criers announce news and proclamations, minstrels entertain with songs and tales, and children play in the spaces between stalls. The marketplace is a theatre of life, where the personal and the practical blend seamlessly. Throughout the year, special fairs and festivals punctuate the market calendar. These grander events, sometimes lasting several days or weeks, draw merchants from distant lands, and increase the variety and rarity of goods on offer. The market square becomes a stage for spectacle. Jugglers, acrobats, and storytellers captivate the crowd, while food vendors prepare lavish treats to satisfy visitors from near and far. You sense the influence of the seasons on market life. Spring brings fresh green vegetables and young livestock. Summer offers an abundance of fruit, herbs, and grains. Autumn signals harvest time, when stores are replenished, and winter slows the pace, with preserved foods and fewer visitors. The market's offerings ebb and flow like the natural world, anchoring the community to the cycles of growth and rest. Throughout these rhythms, the market is governed by unwritten social contracts as much as formal rules. Courtesy, fairness, and reputation matter deeply. Merchants greet familiar customers by name. Disputes are often settled through negotiation rather than confrontation, and generosity is shown in small acts, a free sample, a helping hand, or credit extended in hard times. As night deepens, you imagine the marketplace's transformation once again, the stalls closing, the crowds dispersing, and the square falling silent until the next gathering. Yet beneath this calm, the memory of the day lingers, the hum of voices, the sparkle of traded coins, the mingled sense of earth and fire. The marketplace is more than a place. It is a rhythm of life, a social heartbeat that connects past and present, trader and traveller, neighbour and stranger. In this cycle of market days and festivals, the medieval town finds its pulse, a living story of human connection written not in words but in shared space, exchanged goods, and the timeless dance of community. As the market square lies quiet in the soft embrace of twilight, your thoughts turn to one of the most intricate and delicate dances that defines medieval commerce, the art of bartering. In a world where coins can be scarce and trust hard-earned, bargaining is not just a method of exchange but a language itself, a ritual steeped in tradition, strategy, and human connection. Picture yourself stepping back into the crowded heart of the market during a busy trading day. Around you, voices rise and fall in a melodic cadence of offers and counter-offers. The air buzzes with the subtle tension of negotiation. sellers weighing the value of their goods, buyers testing the limits of their budgets, and both sides reading each other carefully for signs of willingness, stubbornness, or urgency. Barter begins with a price, sometimes set by guild rules or market custom, but often flexible, fluid, and open to persuasion. You watch as a merchant holding a finely woven cloak quotes a price in groats, while a prospective buyer shakes their head, gesturing to the worn state of the garment's edges or the closeness of the weave. The two engage in a verbal dance, trading compliments, complaints, and carefully crafted arguments. Each word is measured, each pause a calculated silence. In this exchange, much depends on your ability to read the situation. If the seller senses genuine need, they might lower their price. If the buyer appears wealthy or impatient, the merchant may hold firm or even raise the stakes. Sometimes, bartering extends beyond coins, offering a portion of grain, a day's labour, or another good as part payment. Such flexibility requires creativity and goodwill, a tacit understanding that both parties must leave satisfied for the market's harmony to endure. Bartering is also a social performance. Wit, humour, and storytelling often pepper negotiations, easing tension and building rapport. A merchant might joke about the buyer's stubbornness, while the buyer compliments the merchant's skill in persuasion. These moments humanize the transaction, reminding both sides that beneath the commerce lies a shared humanity. Beyond individual transactions, you sense the role of reputation in these exchanges. A buyer known for fair dealing is welcomed. One known for harsh bargaining or deceit risks losing access to trusted merchants. Similarly, sellers who cheat or overcharge quickly find themselves shunned. The market is a delicate ecosystem of trust, where every deal echoes beyond its moment. You also notice how time of day, season, and circumstance influence bargaining. Close to market closing, some sellers grow eager to clear their stalls, offering better deals. During festivals or fairs, competition increases, and prices may shift accordingly. Economic hardship, such as a poor harvest or political unrest, can tighten purse strings, making bartering tougher but more essential. Barter thus emerges as more than economic necessity. It is a cultural art form, a living dialogue between need and value, shaped by tradition, personality, and circumstance. It reflects the marketplace's soul, a place where goods exchange hands not simply through force or demand, but through conversation, empathy, and shared understanding. As you leave this scene, the echoes of voices, some sharp, some warm, linger, a testament to the timeless human desire not just to possess but to connect, negotiate, and find balance in the delicate dance of trade. In the medieval marketplace, barter is a story told in words as much as in coins, a narrative of cooperation written in the language of exchange. As the morning sun filters softly through the narrow streets, warming the stone and timber of the town, you find yourself drawn once again to the heart of the marketplace, where a distinct symphony of sights, sounds, and smells awakens the senses, particularly around the food stalls. These humble booths and carts are more than mere points of sale. They are centres of sustenance, community, and culture, their offerings weaving a sensory tapestry that defines much of the market's character. The air here is thick with a blend of aromas, smoky, sweet, savoury, and earthy, all mingling and rising in gentle waves to greet your nostrils. You catch the scent of freshly baked bread, its crust golden and crackling, mingling with the sharp tang of cured meats hanging from hooks or laid out on wooden boards. The pungent perfume of cheese, some sharp and aged, others soft and creamy, wafts alongside herbs like rosemary, thyme, and parsley, whose green sprigs sprout from woven baskets. You move closer to a food stall where a cook tends a small fire stirring a bubbling pot of pottage, a thick stew of vegetables, grains, and sometimes bits of salted meat. The crackle of the firewood and the occasional hiss of steam create a comforting background rhythm. Vendors offer small, warm pies filled with meat or fruit, their flaky crusts steaming in the cool morning air. Nearby, barrels of salted fish, dried fruits, and nuts hint at provisions stored for leaner seasons. Tasting food at the marketplace is both a necessity and a pleasure. For townsfolk who may have limited means for cooking at home, these stalls offer ready nourishment and an opportunity to sample delicacies otherwise hard to prepare. You imagine the simple joy of breaking off a piece of crusty bread and dipping it into a bowl of hearty soup, the flavours mingling with the communal buzz of conversation. Food stalls also serve as gathering points, places where travellers share news over a warm meal, where merchants pause for a quick bite between deals, and where families gather to enjoy treats that mark special occasions. The variety of offerings reflects the season and local produce, yet also bears the marks of trade: spices from distant lands, imported fruits, and rare sweets that tantalise the palate. Behind the scenes, these vendors work tirelessly. Cooking fires must be tended carefully, ingredients sourced fresh daily, and portions measured to balance quality and economy. Hygiene, while understood differently than today, is practiced through routines of cleaning utensils and separating raw from cooked goods. Vendors take pride in their wares, knowing that a satisfied customer is likely to return, bringing word of mouth that spreads reputation. At times, the market's food stalls also reveal social divisions. Wealthier customers might enjoy imported delicacies, such as sugar-coated almonds or exotic fruits, while common folk rely on staple foods and simple recipes. Festivals and feast days break this pattern, offering rare moments when the market overflows with abundance and variety for all. You feel the marketplace here as a sensory world, a place where the physical act of eating intertwines with social life, culture, and survival. Each scent and flavour tells a story of land and labour, of seasons and trade, of people who gather to nourish both body and community. As the day moves on, you carry with you the lingering warmth of hearth and hearthside chatter, the echoes of laughter and clinking mugs, and the quiet satisfaction of shared sustenance. The medieval marketplace is not merely a site of commerce, but a living feast of life itself, where food becomes a language of connection and a rhythm of daily existence. As the sun begins to dip toward the horizon, casting long shadows over the cobblestones, the bustling marketplace takes on a different mood. The daylight's vibrant colours mellow into muted tones, and the lively chatter softens to a murmur. Amid this changing light, the marketplace reveals another side, one less spoken of but just as real: the ever-present risk of theft, deception, and the subtle dance of caution that every visitor must learn to navigate. You imagine walking through the crowd, the weight of your coins tucked safely into a leather pouch at your waist. Around you, the press of bodies grows tighter, children dart between legs, merchants shout to attract attention, and townsfolk carry baskets heavy with the day's acquisitions. Yet beneath this lively surface, eyes watch more keenly, hands twitch with readiness, and the instinct to protect one's possessions is as sharp as any blade. Pickpockets, known by many names in different regions, are an acknowledged part of the marketplace's ecosystem. Their craft is practiced in the shadows, swift and subtle, relying on distraction, stealth, and the confusion of crowds. They are skilled at weaving through throngs unnoticed, their fingers deftly lifting coins, handkerchiefs, or small valuables before their victims even realize what has happened. You sense the mix of fear and fascination that pickpockets evoke. Town authorities struggle to curb their activities, but recognize that the market's openness and density make complete prevention impossible. Punishments for caught thieves are severe, ranging from public shaming and fines to corporal punishment or imprisonment. Yet the risks never fully deter those driven by desperation or cunning. For shoppers, vigilance is a constant companion. Many learn to keep their pouches tied securely under their clothing, to avoid flashing coins unnecessarily, and to stay aware of those who come too close. Vendors, too, watch carefully, wary of those who loiter without buying or who exhibit suspicious behaviour. In some markets, designated guards patrol the area. Their presence a deterrent but not an absolute safeguard. You notice how the market's physical layout contributes to both risk and security. Narrow alleys and shadowed corners offer cover for thieves, while open squares and watchful crowds create natural defence. The social fabric of the town also plays a role. Familiar faces, neighbours, and guild members form informal networks of protection, often rallying to assist victims or identify suspects. Beyond outright theft, the market harbours other deceptions: fraudulent goods, false weights, and dishonest scales, challenges met by guild regulations and communal enforcement. Trust is precious and fragile. A merchant caught cheating risks ostracism and ruin, while a shopper's reputation for fairness ensures continued access to goods and credit. This tension between opportunity and risk infuses the marketplace with a subtle drama beneath its surface. Every step taken in the crowd carries a measure of caution. every handshake or bargain a test of character. Yet, paradoxically, this very vulnerability also fosters community vigilance and cooperation, as the people here learn to watch out for one another amid the market's chaos. As dusk turns to night, and lanterns begin to glow softly along the streets, you carry with you the knowledge that the medieval marketplace is not merely a place of goods and trade, but a living world of human complexity. It is a stage where trust and suspicion intertwine, where survival depends as much on awareness and prudence as on wealth and skill. In this delicate balance, the market thrives, not despite its risks, but because its inhabitants have woven protections, rules, and social bonds strong enough to keep the shadows at bay, allowing commerce and community to flourish together. As the marketplace quiets under the darkening sky, your thoughts turn toward the unseen structures that shape every transaction, every stall, and every craft displayed here: the guilds. These organizations are the silent architects of order and quality within the bustling chaos, invisible hands guiding the flow of trade, the standards of workmanship, and the social fabric of the medieval market. Imagine walking through the market again during a busy day, noticing the signs and symbols adorning various shops and stalls, emblems embroidered on cloth, distinctive tools displayed prominently, or even the colours worn by merchants. These marks are not mere decoration, but the badges of guild membership, signalling to buyers and competitors alike the skill, reliability, and authenticity behind each product. Guilds emerged not only as trade associations, but as powerful social institutions that regulated the marketplace to protect craftsmen's rights, control competition, and ensure the quality of goods sold. Each guild represents a specific trade: bakers, blacksmiths, weavers, butchers, and countless others, each with its own rules, hierarchy, and traditions. Their influence extends far beyond the market square, touching the lives of apprentices learning their craft, journeymen travelling to gain experience, and masters who hold the reins of power. You envision the complex structure of a guild: apprentices bound by contracts to masters, learning through years of hands-on work and discipline, journeymen travelling from town to town, gaining skills and reputation, and masters who own workshops, employ others, and sit on guild councils that decide matters of regulation, dispute, and trade practices. Guild meetings are solemn affairs where laws are made and enforced, prices fixed, and conflicts resolved. Within the marketplace, guilds enforce standards that protect consumers and uphold the reputation of their craft. Merchants found guilty of selling substandard goods risk penalties ranging from fines to expulsion from the guild and market. Scales and weights are standardized, and craftsmen must produce goods that meet strict criteria of durability, size, and appearance. This regulation helps maintain a balance between fair competition and consumer protection. Guilds also regulate market behavior, dictating who may sell certain goods, where stalls may be placed, and how competition is managed. These rules create a layered order beneath the surface tumult, allowing the market to function smoothly despite its many participants and interests. At times, this system is rigid and exclusionary, limiting who can enter the trade and consolidating power in the hands of established masters. Yet guilds are more than economic regulators. They are communities of mutual support and social networks. They provide aid to members in times of illness or hardship, organize religious observances and festivals, and even act as political bodies representing craftsmen's interests to town authorities. In this way, guilds weave together the personal and professional lives of their members, creating bonds of loyalty and identity. You reflect on how guild influence extends beyond the market's immediate geography. Through connections with guilds in other towns and regions, knowledge and styles spread, and trade networks expand. Guilds can control the flow of goods and labour, shaping not just local economies but the broader medieval world. The presence of guilds adds a layer of trust and order that underpins the vibrant market scene. Behind every finely wrought blade, every embroidered garment, every wheel of cheese lies the quiet authority of guild standards and traditions. These invisible hands mould the marketplace into a space where skill is honoured, quality expected, and commerce intertwined with community. As you step back from the market square in your mind, the image of guild banners fluttering in the breeze lingers, a symbol of discipline and craft, regulation and camaraderie. The medieval marketplace, wild and vibrant as it may seem, is ultimately shaped by these networks of human connection, ensuring that amid the noise and movement, order and trust endure. As the final light of day slips beneath the horizon, bathing the marketplace in dusky shades of purple and gold, the once teeming square begins its slow transformation from vibrant hub to peaceful quiet. You stand amidst the fading bustle, feeling the cool evening air settle over stone and timber, and watch as vendors methodically dismantle their stalls, pack their unsold wares, and prepare to return to their homes beyond the walls. This closing hour carries a distinct rhythm, less hurried than the dawn's eager preparations but marked by a calm, reflective pace. Merchants count their earnings, sometimes exchanging quiet words about the day's successes or disappointments. Buyers clutch their bags of goods, tired but content, their minds turning to hearth and table. The air is softer now, filled with the muted sounds of carts creaking, the rustling of fabric, and occasional laughter from friends gathering to share a final word. You notice how the marketplace itself seems to breathe, expanding and contracting with the life it contains. The scattered remnants of the day, the bits of straw, discarded peels, and stray coins, remind you of the human stories etched into these stones. Here, countless lives have intersected. Farmers who rose before dawn to bring fresh produce, craftsmen who laboured with care, children chasing one another in innocent games, pickpockets weaving through the crowd, guildsmen ensuring order, and townsfolk forging connections beyond mere trade. As darkness deepens, lanterns flicker on one by one, casting pools of warm, golden light that dance across walls and market stalls now empty and silent. The sounds of the day fade into a gentle hush, punctuated only by the distant barking of dogs or the clatter of a last cart on the cobbles. The marketplace rests but holds within it the memory of life, of movement, exchange, and community, a living heart that will beat again with tomorrow's dawn. You reflect on how this daily cycle mirrors the human experience, beginnings and endings, effort and rest, connection and solitude. The medieval marketplace, in all its complexity and vibrancy, offers a window into a world where commerce is more than exchange of goods. It is a shared story of survival, trust, and belonging. As you prepare to leave the square in your mind, you carry with you a sense of calm and continuity. The marketplace's lights may dim, but its spirit endures, a timeless space where the ordinary and extraordinary mingle, where each day's close is a quiet promise of new encounters, new bargains, and new stories waiting just beyond the horizon. And so, the market falls silent, wrapped in night's gentle embrace, ready to awaken once more with the coming sun. As you gently step away from the bustling market square in your mind, carrying the echoes of voices, the scents of fresh bread and spices, and the rhythm of life woven through centuries, feel a quiet calm settle over you. The stories of trades, barters, guilds, and celebrations remind you of the timeless connections that bind us all, across places, people, and time. Now, let your body sink deeper into comfort, your breath slow and steady, as you allow the peacefulness of the medieval marketplaces close to wrap around you like a soft, warm cloak. With each gentle breath, feel yourself drifting farther from the day's noise and into a restful stillness. May your mind wander softly, carried on the quiet winds of history, and may your sleep be deep, gentle, and renewing. Good night.